Shalom, it's me, Sudden Skye, and today I'm going to be doing a rhetorical analysis on the intro of a game called Shadow the Hedgehog. Well, what's rhetoric, you might ask? Well, technically put, it's the art of effective or persuasive speaking, writing, or I guess in this case, cinematics, using figures of speech and other compositional techniques. Wait, whoa, Skye, hold on. I came into this video expecting to see some bashing on a piece of trash game that really deserves it, not a lecture in English class and writing. And I hear you, but bear with me, that part will come soon. Trust me. Now, I might have confused some of you with that textbook definition of what rhetoric is. Let's make things easier with this, the rhetorical triangle. When trying to find this thing called rhetoric within a piece of media, we need to know what the message is, the message. Secondly, who is delivering the message, the speaker. And thirdly, who the message is meant to be delivered to, the audience. There's much more I could go into, like the tone, style, and purpose of the actual message. But then, don't even get me started with the logos, pathos, and ethos. That's when things get harder to follow than Zelda's timeline, you know what I'm saying? So, for now, let's just leave things at that. For my analysis, I need to get this out of the way. There, much better. Now, I'm going to be dissecting the rhetoric of the opening sequence to the arguably horrendous video game entry into the Sonic the Hedgehog series known as Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, this game series already had a well-established audience at this point in time. People were expecting to see the bright and cheeriness that Sonic the Hedgehog was known for. Yuji Naka, the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, already had an audience of die-hard Sonic fans who have been craving more of the blue blur that they knew and loved ever since the previous installment, Sonic Heroes. Unfortunately, Shadow the Hedgehog was fated to be the next game in the line, a game that was supposed to be geared more towards continuing the story arc of old Edgy the Hedgie, a much more dark and grungy version of our beloved hero. The message that the creators were trying to send with this opening sequence was pandering to a different kind of audience than the usual. A much more different audience. Before we get started, let's get one thing clear. I've played Shadow the Hedgehog through and through, but I'm doing this analysis from the perspective of a person who has no idea what Shadow the Hedgehog is. That good for you? Great. Let's get started. Now let's pull up this old video here and right off the bat, we start off with white glaring light with the sight of a gun being thrusted in the view being loaded by a white gloved hand with electric guitars playing in the background music. I believe that the message that they were trying to deliver here was that this was going to be a very serious adventure that will involve guns, an image that would not be very pandering to an audience member who desired the light-hearted fun story that took place in most Sonic the Hedgehog games. This was clearly a message intended for people who enjoyed the idea of guns, which was not an abnormal concept for most popular games in American culture at that time. The image following after that would be the shoes of the character loading the gun. These shoes would be familiar to any casual fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise at the time, and was a message that seemed to be that this isn't going to be your average Sonic the Hedgehog game. The image following is a full moon peeking over the cliff with police sirens going off in the background. I believe that this message was to indicate the chaos that you're going to be expecting from this hedgehog wielding and cocking this weapon. This anthropomorphic hedgehog glares at the camera of the viewer with hateful eyes and a frown, delivering this serious tone that is going to be held throughout the rest of this sequence. Whoa, slow down there, ironic the grunge hog. Any more edge than this and I'd have run out of shaving cream. Now, let's take this back to the motorcycle scene. Instead of running at extreme speeds, which has been a signature attribute to the usual protagonist of the series, Shadow replaces this with a motorcycle, which we see him riding and swerving past cars. This is a very reasonable mode of transportation in the streets, which is probably more sensible and practical transport to use to get around everywhere than running. The average person watching this could probably relate to the idea of using a motorcycle because, well, motorcycles are a real thing, so any amount of realism that an anthropomorphic hedgehog can provide could probably draw some connections for the average viewer. We are then greeted by the image of a red, foreboding, cloudy sky with aliens flying out of it. As much as guns were a relevant thing in video games / modern pop culture at the time of this game being released, so were aliens. This is probably a message to those who were fans of sci-fi or any fans of video games with aliens in them, really. Following that, a sight of a massive alien clearly giving the humans' enforcement officers a rough time. Without hesitation, Shadow crashes the motorcycle into the alien, exploding the motorcycle and surviving the explosion unscathed with a gun in his hand. Okay. This delivers the message that this hedgehog does not shy away from any danger, has a very violent nature to him, is always ready to fight, and is pretty much invincible. Let's be honest. I mean, God, rhetorical analysis aside, Shadow the Hedgehog was overpowered in this game. I don't even care. No, stay on track. I don't know anything about Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know if he's overpowered. As far as I know. Now there's much more I can go into detail and dissect, but brushing through the little details in the sequence, Shadow attacks both aliens and humans, so clearly he is ambivalent to either side of the fight, and is fighting for himself. To support this idea, one specific set of lyrics that is sung very distortedly within the rock music in the background. It says, "This hedgehog has the freedom to do whatever he chooses to do, and most gamers would want the freedom to do whatever they want in the game that they're playing. And from the actions that Shadow takes, it seems like he has all the freedom in the world." And besides all the callbacks to the previous entries to the Sonic the Hedgehog series, which by the way appeals to the old Sonic fan through pathos because of the emotional attachment they might have. Even though the sequence will blatantly remind you that this indeed is a Sonic game, the sequence will blatantly remind you that this isn't going to be those games that you grew up with. And as if everything else wasn't hinting enough, they will show you the image of Sonic being beaten and bruised and falling to the floor. And who's standing up above him holding a gun posing clearly as the superior hedgehog? Shadow. Something inspired the creator of this scene to show you that this isn't going to be one of those childish, kid-friendly Sonic the Hedgehog games that you played in the past. Previous audience members of the game designers of Sonic most likely told them that the games that they were making were weak, and this scene of Shadow besting Sonic within his own franchise was their way of letting you know that they received that message. Shadow the Hedgehog was their key to a new path of games for the developers. Now let's break some things down with this sequence using our fancy little triangle here. The audience that the speaker was trying to deliver with this message was clearly very broad. They wanted to draw in previous fans of the series who were interested in Shadow's story arc, as well as fans of sci-fi and aliens. They wanted to appeal to the Western audience, so yeah, let's throw some guns in there, why not? They tried to draw in the adult crowd that were interested in the serious tones that this game could deliver, and this was their way of going about it. Shadow. Shadow. Whether they succeeded in their message or not, this was their interpretation of what they thought their broad spectrum of audience members wanted, and they gave them what they thought they wanted, fitting it all into one tightly compacted opening sequence of garbage. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the first actual video for this channel, and if you enjoyed this video, why don't you click that subscribe button? It'll help YouTube tell you when I make more videos just like this one. Also, if you liked this video, why don't you leave a like? It'll be a big help to my channel. If you want to see a video on my personal history with Super Smash Bros., you can click that link on the screen to the left or in the description below. And if you want to see a list of 7 sudden scary songs that I made, a link to that is on the screen to the right or in the description. Be warned, it was a while ago since I've made those videos, so I was a few octaves short of a soprano, if you know what I'm saying.